Like to call the King County Agricultural Meeting to order. Today's Thursday, January 23rd. May I have the roll?
Allen. Leonard.
Leonard here.
Genesis.
Hennis here.
Sanchez.
Sanchez present.
Williams.
Williams here.
Roth.
Roth here.
Juby here. All right, we are all present, so we have no need for remote attendance requests. I'd like to entertain a motion for unanimous consent to put the approval of minutes from December 18th, 2024. All righty, any objections? All right. Moves us to item number 5, public comment. Mr. Canton has signed up. You're supposed to only have 3 minutes to talk, but whatever.
The committee has authority to allow it to be extended.
All right, thank you. My name is Dave Canton from Maple Park. Members of the committee, Madam Chair, thank you for allowing me to speak this morning. Last month, I spoke on the impact of stormwater ordinance on agriculture. In my remarks, I noted how the ordinance is biased against agriculture in direct opposition to the stated goals and purposes of the ordinance. Today, I would like to bring your attention to economic impact of the equine industry, specifically within the agricultural economic environment, to highlight the potential negative impact of ordinances that are biased against agriculture. Some may argue that the equine industry is no longer relevant to the agricultural economy. They may argue that equine operations are purely recreational of no agricultural impact. While this belief may have some value, it is grossly erred. First, recreation is a significant contributor to the economy. In 2023, according to the Bureau of Economic Analysis, outdoor recreation alone contributed to 2.2% of the Illinois gross domestic product. While a small percentage, this amounted to over $19 billion with a B dollars. Equine recreation activities contributed to a portion of this. Secondly, more and more small farmers are returning to equine farming. That is, moving away from mechanized operations in favor of horse-drawn operations. Small farmers are finding that the cost of fuel, maintenance, acquisition costs are not sustainable, proving that bigger is not always better. They're finding that smaller, low-cost operations are just as profitable as bigger, more expensive, high-cost operations with fewer headaches. The trend validates the equine operations are still a part of the agriculture economy. Recently, the American Horse Council released their economic impact survey for 2023. Their study revealed that the equine industry accounted for over $177 billion in 2023. This is an increase from 2027, when the impact was $122 billion. Kane County is part of the region of Northern Illinois that is well known for equine operations and equine activity. A well-known Illinoisan, Everett Dirksen, is quoted as saying, "$1 billion here and $1 billion there, and pretty soon you're talking real money." This increase shows the potential for real money to be brought into Kane County through maintenance, development, and promotion of the equine market. Changes in Illinois law have killed the Illinois horse racing industry. Dollars involved with that industry have moved out of state. There are numerous large facilities that are now boarded up across Northern Illinois that were former horse training facilities. Most have now become distressed properties, with many housing homelessness and vagrants driving down property values of neighborhood properties. Just in the last 6 months, several equine facilities have gone up for sale and are closing operations in our area. Once these properties are lost, that revenue will be lost permanently. Hopefully, the committee, in advancing stated objectives of the committee, will review and advance ordinance changes and amendments to promote, save, and restore the agricultural and equine economy within King County, and correct bias I outlined last month. We don't want to lose the agriculture history of the county or the economic impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Canton. Whew, well, I agree. All right, that moves us to item 6, our partners. Mr. Collins, are you going to be doing our Farm Bureau update?
Yes, I
Okay.
will.
Great, thank you.
As the chairman knows, we've invited her to be at our meeting on February 6th. It's at the King County Farm Bureau at 7 p.m. and everyone is welcome to our monthly meeting. The other things I have are that the Farm Bureau is doing is on the 17th through the 19th, we have our Illinois Farm Bureau Governor Affairs Leadership Conference where we do interact with our state legislatures, legislative representatives downstate for those 3 days. We also have our shopping spree coming up on February 24th at 10 a.m. at the Jewel in Batavia. And your chairman is going to be one of the contestants in that shopping spree. She hasn't chosen a partner yet to food pantry to partner with. The other thing I had was I presented a resolution that was done in 23, and it's our state. We do the state program is Allies in Agriculture in Kane County. It's pro ag is the resolution that we did back in 23. And we want, with the new board, we'd like to redo that resolution so it's updated, so all the board members that are new and on the board are up to date on the pros for agriculture and support ag. I think that's all I have for now.
Okay, thank you. So everyone can come to Jewel in Batavia and help me get as much food as we can. I'm going to be reaching out to the Farm Bureau to find out which food pantry actually is most dire, and that's who we will be supporting unless y'all have a favorite, and then we can go with that. Also, we will see the proclamation come through next month's ag meeting for so that we can get it to the county board in March like we did last year. So hopefully that will all go smoothly.
2 years.
Great. Any questions or comments?
Madam
Yes,
Chair.
Mr. Roth.
Who's going to be your competitor at the
Well,
shopping?
apparently my competitor is going to be Mayor Vitek from St. Charles.
Oh,
So-
interesting.
Put on your tennis shoes, Bill. We have to beat her.
I have to say no comment. I can't get involved in that.
County hat.
No, I know. I'm wearing my, no, I mean with the Vitek.
Oh, I just meant.
Yeah, no, I will be fully
Victorious.
helping you.
Yes. Okay.
And I'll give you some information on how last year's went because they set a new record
Oh,
last year. In
Okay.
fact, it beat the prior year record of both teams combined.
oh,
So it's certain things you pick out.
okay.
So
go for
I'll
it.
share with you
Okay,
offline.
Thank you for the tips.
Yeah.
I guess, right? Yeah. All right. Get it. Yeah. Okay. Any other comments? No? All right. We will move on. Oh, we have a presentation. Oh, we have a presentation from Mrs. Camps. Do you want to just start or does Mark need to lay groundwork? I'm fine either way. You can just jump right in or Mark can introduce you.
Sure. Well, she's getting it set up. Ellen Camps is one of our consultants for agriculture and food consulting services. Last year, we did an RFQ and to solicit proposals from qualified consultants, and we selected two. And Matt will be addressing those later because it's we did sign contracts with both consultants to help us with a variety of services that we projected needing over the next couple of years. Those contracts were 1-year terms, so those will be later in the agenda. But this morning, really grateful to have Ellen Camps with us. She just really, she and her team performed great work for us in this past year, particularly with the using our ARPA funds for doing our own local grant program to farmers. Again, thanks to the ARPA team as well. But she had a very short time frame working with Matt Tansley to put this together. But anyway, she has a nice presentation to kind of summarize her work this past year. So.
Thank you so much, Mr. Van Kerkhoff. So yes, I'm here to briefly introduce myself, reintroduce myself, and update you on our sustainable agriculture projects that I've been managing for King County in 2024. So just a little bit about me. I have a Master's of Public Affairs with a focus on sustainable agriculture from UC Berkeley, and I'm currently pursuing my Master's of Science at Arizona State University in Sustainable Food Systems as a designated USDA Next Gen Scholar. But most importantly, I began my agricultural journey with my hands in Kane County soil, just up the Fox River at Foxtrot Organic Farm. I've been fortunate to study agriculture technology, economics, policy abroad in Indonesia, Germany, Italy, Switzerland, Kenya, Israel, and Palestine, but most importantly, in the United States for the past 12 years. Those lessons in leadership, innovation, partnership building, business development, agronomy, and horticulture are cultivated across multiple growing and time zones. And while I have many reflections on my agricultural journey, I'm called to support King County farmers with continued technical assistance as a sustainable agriculture consultant. So to support King County agriculture, I operate within the major principles of extension, needs, research, education, and sharing. So today I'm going to be giving you a high-level overview of my work on the Food and Farm Resiliency Grant Program and the Farming with Pollinators Guidebook. My subcontractor, Janice Hill, will be back to share with Ag Committee in March. I know she's looking forward to providing an overview of her work with the Land Transfer Navigator, as well as training and transition within the Farmland Preservation Department. So one of the projects that I'm producing is a guidebook for farmers and ranchers and land managers on natural resource conservation district practices and programs. These practices and programs support pollinator habitats. And the objective is to provide a practical guide and decision-making tool for land managers that remains evergreen as we anticipate the 2025 Farm Bill. While there are established research and experts featured in this developing publication, it is critical to craft a tool by interviewing King County farmers and their specific needs in the field. I attended 3 field days in 2024, 2 in Kane County and 1 on an urban farm on the south side of Chicago. These shaped the developing guide to act as a flow chart that includes financial incentives for implementation, seed mixes for different practices, and expectations above and below the soil. These brief farm tours have been complementary to the long email threads and phone calls with stakeholders, as it is essential to witness biodiversity practices in person. So the working title, Farming with Pollinators Guidebook, it's a cross-disciplinary resource involving many voices from different stakeholders across the county, state, and country. As I survey land managers and their varying needs to better implement conservation practices, I have been welcomed into expert circles in agriculture policy and science. These professionals share that they are excited about King County's Pollinator Guidebook and its impact, and more broadly, how it could serve as a model for other communities. Along with a variety of voices, the draft guide also contains a truncated field guide of Kane County native pollinator habitats, customly illustrated for this publication. And you'll see counterclockwise on the slide on the right, we have elderberry, butterfly milkweed, prairie blazing star, lilac, and staghorn sumac. This project is estimated to be completed by Q2, April-May 2025, and I look forward to updating you again in the future with this finished publication. So now moving on to the Food and Farm Resiliency Grant Program, we still have a lot to celebrate. Kane County has awarded 19 food growing farms and ranches, $755,000 in 2024 that is earmarked for critical operating expenses on the farm. In the near future, we will begin to publicize the grant awardees and offer farmer and rancher vignettes on Kane County Connects and beyond. And I'll share more in the upcoming slides on that plan. But as a sneak peek of the farm and ranch awardees producing ground beef, milk, butter, honey, garlic, lettuce, microgreens, sweet corn, and hundreds of other projects, we have as our awardees a family-owned dairy operation in Kane County that has been in operation in the same location since the 1980s, a fourth-generation vegetable farm operating on the same land since 1960s, a certified naturally grown farm that uses their produce to make soup, a beekeeper that brings beehives to neighboring vegetable farms in Kane County. Many of the awardees sold through multiple in-person locations in the county. Most awardees donated a portion of their produce to the Northern Illinois Food Bank, directly to smaller food pantries, or sold through low-income matching programs at market. And all awardees indicated that their operation had experienced negative impacts as a result of COVID-19. Through Google, Growing for Kane database, and the Kane County Farm Bureau's Bounty of Kane, as well as social media, I called every farm, ranch, and growing operation associated phone number at least twice. Many farmers called me from their tractors or their trucks, at the farm store register, on their way to church. Some preferred to text me at 6 a.m. when they were getting ready to feed the chickens. As I remember too clearly, farm exhaustion is in full swing by September and October, and I knew outreach and technical assistance would require a farmer-to-farmer approach. Like I mentioned earlier, I've studied agriculture around the world in the United States, and I was trying to estimate last night, I've probably walked the fields of 150 different farms over the past 12 years, which is almost a new farm every month. My point is, out of all the places in the world that there are to grow and sell food, Kane County is a really special place for a lot of reasons, but specifically for its fertile topsoil and geographic location when it comes to farming. Within our Goldilocks space, place, and time, the moment is ripe with opportunities in areas spanning farmland preservation and innovation. So here are my concluding thoughts today for the Food and Farm Resiliency Grant Program. We have a unique opportunity to collect interviews and farm footage for our awarded growers, to capture their reinvesting strategies and leverage these investments for future economic development in Kane County. Soon after harvest season in Q4, the county will have a library of information and promotional tools compiled for visual storytelling on food and farm resiliency. I look forward to leading this initiative to completion, and I look forward to seeing you later in the year as these programs and projects conclude. So with that, I say thank you to Mark and Matt for your thought leadership on all this efforts, the whole team, and to Ag Committee. I will see you later in the year as these programs continue. And I'm here for any questions.
Oh, thank you. That was a really nice presentation. Anyone have any questions, comments? Ms. Allen?
This is Alan. I have an easy one. You used an acronym NOFO.
You need your mic.
earlier on. Can you tell me?
Scoot up and look at. the
Notice
mic.
of funding opportunity. Did you say NOFO?
What does that stand for?
I'm not sure that I think I'm misunderstanding. Yeah, please.
Yeah, so that she's referring to in her slide, the NOFO, which is a Notice of Funding Opportunity. So that was part of our outreach to our farmers, was to let them know that we had this opportunity. I'm glad you went back to the calendar, because I just wanted, if you didn't notice how almost insanely condensed this process was because of our deadlines with ARPA. And again, I want to credit our ARPA committee, our ARPA team, Suzanne Fonstock, Ellen and Matt, for their work. I mean, it was really due to having a good database already of our local food growers, expanding that. And then as Ellen mentioned, the tenacity of reaching people. Janice Hill used to drum into my head, don't try to do anything with farmers during harvest. And what did we do? We offered them money during harvest, but we're so grateful because it really, I think the response was due to the hard work, but also due to the need and the opportunity that our farmers saw that what the county board was offering through this resiliency grant program was something that would help sustain their operations. And I think it shows a tremendous commitment by the county board for agriculture. So, but that's what NOFO means.
My apologies.
Not mofo, it's no.
Well,
Or FOMO.
Or FOMO.
Oh, you
go ahead,
wanted to
Deb.
follow up? Sure.
just this follow-up, as Janice Hill has been telling us for the 20-some years that she has been working on our farmland protection program, it's a really tricky thing to show up from Kane County or anywhere and say, hi, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. It's just an instant invitation for cynicism. So when we have people who are able to reach any community, including our farming community, and win their hearts, we are just grateful to be able to put those opportunities together to try and make things better for everyone. But it's tricky. I'm sure you have stories to tell.
Thank you for all the great work you're doing. The Farming for Pollinators program sounds really interesting. Has that been done anywhere else? And what has been the response from farmers as far as participating, if it has?
That's a great question. You know, there's so many publications when it comes to farming with pollinators by experts, by scientists, like in the state, but we haven't yet found where there's how to actually put it in practice, resources to navigate through FSA, through NRCS, and to work with your local office to practically implement those. So it's kind of bridging the gaps of multiple documents through this. And I think the farmers that I have had the privilege of speaking with are really excited for something like a flow chart that works within Kane County and Northern Illinois more broadly, that's specific to them. And I think the trick is making it applicable across all growing practices, whether you're monocropping, whether you're the forest preserve and you just have a lot of land, or if you're a diversified vegetable grower. So I think there's a lot of excitement for the potential, and there's such an amazing library of resources out there, but this is really connecting the dots and bringing it home for Kane County.
Is there like a possibility that we could like pilot some of that with forest preserve farmland?
I'd love to see it.
Okay. Yeah. Fantastic.
And Michelle Blackburn is on too, from the Forest Reserve on Zoom.
Yeah, there has been conversations about long-term planning with Forest Reserve farmland to, kind of see if we can encourage more, specialty crop farming and things like that. So we'll see how that goes as we go along in the future, but we're definitely angled that way. I just want to thank you, Ellen, for presenting all this. I'm very excited by this whole program and everything that it's accomplishing. It's just great to get these reports and see the work that's been done. I mean, we're here every month, but just to have it wrapped up like that. And yeah, you're a contractor, you're hired to do a job, but obviously it's very clear from your history and your training, your background, that this is passion for you as well. So I think that's just a perfect partnership with the county. So
Thanks.
thank you. And I know Janice is probably listening as well. So miss you, Janice.
Okay, Bill, we're gonna have to talk. They just threw down the gauntlet for the Forest Reserve, so. All right, okay, moving on. Any other comments or questions? Thank you so much. That was a really great presentation. All right, let's move on to growing for Kane. Oh, wait, do we get our presentation first before our resolutions? Yeah, right? Okay. Take it away.
Thank you. I did, so as part of my presentation, I do just want to give kind of a quick overview of the two consulting resolutions that are before the committee today. So we do have, the first is for Ellen Camps, and then another one is for New Venture Advisors. I did just want to echo some of the sentiments about Ellen's work and really just doing a lot of important consulting service work to really drive these projects forward. And one of the, in working with her directly, one of the most significant stages of work and one of the most involved stages was doing the evaluations for each of the grant applicants. So there were close to 30 total. And so she kind of led and designed this process to look at each one, make sure that they were qualified applicants. So there was just a lot of detail work and just a lot of time to go through that. So that's just something that I wanted to recognize. And so the resolution for Ellen Camp's contract extension would do two things. So her contract is currently set to expire in March of this year. And so part of this contract extension would add an additional year for her to continue to provide contract services to the county and working on the projects that she had outlined. And it would also include an increase in the not to exceed amount for contractual services to Ellen and any subcontractors. So that would be an increase in the contract not to exceed amount from $290,000 to $450,000. So that's a $160,000 increase. And so as was noted, that would continue to support and implement the Farmer Grant Program, the Navigator Program, training and transition services, as well as wrapping up the Pollinator Project. And then I can go on to summarize New Venture Advisors extension. But if there are any questions on Ellen's, I'd be happy to get into those now if the committee would like.
So I guess we can take a motion to discuss with a second, please.
William seconds.
So, Bill, you can ask your question.
Yes, Mark, I guess this is more directed towards you than Matt. I'm all for this program. I think it's great and I want to continue it and improve it, which it sounds like we're going to. I'm a little bit concerned with the funding. And I wanted to know how we're going to fund this. Is it through ARPA funds?
So it's a combination. So the Food and Farm Resiliency Grant Program, that's all through ARPA funds. So so all those continuing services to do the follow-up work and the videos and reports and everything, that's all by ARPA. Some of the funds are coming out of the Farmland Protection Program, like for the Navigators project. And then some of them could come out of economic development if it's economic development related more broadly. And then also we're continuing to look for grants, and among the services, that we've actually asked for both NVA and Ellen to provide is assistance with grant writing and researching and finding grants for funds.
I'm just wondering too, if this program or part of it may not qualify for riverboat funding.
It certainly could. I mean, indirectly, our Fund 430 Farmland Protection and Fund 400 Economic Development are funded internally from Riverboat. So it's sort of our department's implementation of using those funds for the services.
My thought is just sustainability down the road. We may need more money. And so I'm thinking maybe when the grants are reviewed by the Riverboat Commission, of which I've been on for 10 years now, that maybe we bump up that request in order to have the sustainability down the road.
Sure, we'd be happy to do that.
Okay, great. That'd be excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Roth.
Roth here. Does This resolution include extending to Janice's? Or is it the next one?
Yes, so this one,
It's this one.
Janice is a subcontractor
Right,
to Ellen,
Ellen.
who's the Navigator
Right,
program.
I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
So do we have any, I know that we bumped this up in front of another presentation, but do we have any more questions on this? So are we ready to vote on this? Okay, could you take the roll, please?
Allen,
Alan, I.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Genesis,
Genesis, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Juby, aye. Do you want to go ahead with the next one and then we'll
Yeah.
circle back for our farmland protection program acreage analysis?
Great, thank
Okay,
you.
great.
And then the next contract resolution that is up would be to extend New Venture Advisors contract. So their contract would be up in April of this year. And so we would be extending their contract for another year, another 12 months. And so this extension would just extend the timeline. We're not asking for any additional increase to the not to exceed amount that was approved in the most recent contract. So that limit would remain as is, which was 305,000. And so there are a couple of services that we foresee utilizing them for. We had previously talked about doing a review of the economic development plan that was recently completed and looking at that and seeing what types of agriculture-focused economic development strategies would make sense for the county to get behind. They also have experience and have supported us previously in looking at sustaining sources of revenue, both looking at grants and other sources of revenue to help, sustain the sort of Growing for Cane projects that we have been, that has had the support of this committee. And also too, I think it's mostly known that they helped us with a food hub feasibility study that was concluded back in 2016. And so there is, we have been looking at potentially reviewing that strategy and updating some of the data related to the food hub feasibility study and seeing if there might be other models, other opportunities that would help local farmers get more of their food product into markets and available to local communities too. So that's another area where we see them providing some assistance. And with that, if there are any questions on NVA's contract, I'd be happy to take those.
Okay, I entertain a motion for possible oral discussion and possible passing of TMP 25124, authorizing a one-year contract extension with New Venture Advisors to provide food and agricultural consulting services.
Sanchez moves.
And second,
Leonard will second.
any discussion? No, ready to call the roll?
Allen,
Alan, I.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Genesis,
Genesis, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Juby, aye. Okay, you just want to keep going? Okay, Matt's going to give us an update.
Okay, and I do just have a couple of quick updates on the Urban Agriculture Innovative Production Program. So this is the project that we're working with the University of Illinois Extension team on providing farmer training services. So the first class of the Master Urban Farmer Training Program concluded back in December. And so I had a chance to connect with their team, and they made it very clear that the program was, in their view, a success. And they were very eager to do a second cohort of the program. And so we do have funding within our existing program budget to do that. And so we are going to be looking to do a second class of the program that would be conducted in the fall. And we also submitted a request to USDA the administrators that manage the Urban Ag Grant Program, and they approved a request that we had submitted to amend our budget. And so this would allow us to pay for the additional local food access programs that we have presented previously. This is a series of programs up and down the Fox Valley that would support organizations that are either growing food or looking to support local food access in the Fox Valley. And so these are projects that were put together by the University of Illinois Extension SNAP education team. And so basically the bottom line is that USDA approved our request to amend the budget so that we can pay for these programs because they weren't specifically a part of our original grant proposal. So we do have that authorization to proceed. And then the next step that we're working on currently is to finalize an extension of the timeline for the Urban Ag Grant Program. And so this extension would allow us to conduct the second cohort of the Farmer Training Program in the fall, because that is the grant program is currently set to end in September of this year. And we know that if the program followed the same schedule as it did last year, that we would need to continue that at least through the winter of this year into the winter and spring of 2026. So we fully expect that to be approved, but we're currently in process to get that final authorization from USDA.
Any questions? Nope. All right, well, thank you. Let's double back to 7C, Farmland Protection Program acreage analysis. Oh, no, we have one comment.
I just have two comments to that one. I want to thank Matt Tansley for his outstanding work managing this program. And I think what he just went over is also a great example of flexibility, both by the USDA, University of Illinois Extension, and Matt is the program administrator with our local food growers for these causes to do the extra work to amend the scope, amend the budget and the timeline to deliver the services that are really needed. So I wanted to thank Matt and the rest of our partners on that.
I do have one question. With the new administration at the federal level, it sounds like you've been successful at getting these extensions. Is it possible that we won't get this extension that you're looking for?
I can't see that the change would have any effect on the extension. I mean, the program has been, the funding has been obligated, so we have an agreement in place with USDA. So I can't see that any of the mechanisms that would normally be available to the grant recipients changing. I mean, if there were changes, it might come in, later iterations of the Farm Bill or other funding authorizations that affect how the grant programs are funded. But that would, likely affect future grant recipients.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, we ready? All righty. Ms. McKenna.
Okay, hi. Last ag committee meeting, you guys had some questions about how the percentage of our ag land that is actually protected by easements. So I did a quick calculation. So there are approximately 7,000 acres of land that's involved in the farmland protection program easements. So whether that's like finalized or in process, like that's just the amount of the number of acres that are involved in the program. And then in order to find out how much land and agriculture is in this county, I used ag assessed parcels. That's as of now our best data to find what land is designated as an ag use versus something else. So there's about 160,000 acres of ag assessed land. So that means about 4.39% of that land is part of the farmland protection program.
Okay, Mr. Roth.
Roth here. What's our goal?
Well, I know our goal in the 2040 plan is to keep at least 50% of our land in open space and ag. Mark would have more information. I don't think we have specific goals.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, the important things to keep in mind is that the Farmland Protection Program is a voluntary program. for landowners to use that as a tool that they want to keep they recognize the value of their land, oftentimes multi-generational, and they want to protect that in perpetuity. So this becomes a tool for them, as well as a part of implementing the county's goals. But it's just one tool in the toolbox of good land use planning that protects the natural resources, the water, the soil, the land use, the economic value of the land. And those are some of the things we're looking at focusing on in the next year or two. Also is the economic value of the land and the soil that we have here in Kane County, and why it's important. So a
Okay.
long way of answering your question. There's not a goal. We're not trying to get to 10% or 20%.
Well,
Whatever happens there percentage wise is going to happen organically because of participating landowners. But it's one of the important tools for sending that signal, especially in these cluster areas, that farming is there to stay.
right. Okay, and I have some follow-up. I mean, and that's over 20 years, right? Was when we started the land protection was back in 2003 or 2. So it's been a slow growth.
2001. We're
Was it
coming up on
2001?
coming up on
Okay.
our 25th anniversary, which we're
okay.
going to celebrate next year.
And has it been evenly distributed or are we accelerating? I mean, the big showstopper, of course, is we got to match funds and we don't have deep pocketbooks right now. So,
Sure. I mean, that's something we probably could easily do as analysis of year by year,
Yeah.
what the acreage has been. I think there was an initial surge and there was a slowdown during the recession when the value of the easement purchases went down. But we are seeing a rise in interest again. Folks that were waiting now are coming back, new folks coming into the program, as well as the hope for more funding.
sorry, I'll do 2 more. Is there a waiting list for people that are wanting?
Yes, we currently have a waiting list. We have more farms approved or on the waiting list
Okay.
than we have.
And then how do we prioritize how we address that?
Sure. So it's a combination of the farms, the applications are reviewed by our Farmland Protection
Right.
Commission as being eligible. And then oftentimes it's a matter of matching. We've got about 3 or 4 different funding sources. Sarah, you can speak to some of the variety there better. A number of different funding sources. So some of those are a matter of matching the right farm with the right funding program.
Right.
A mechanism, and then because it is limited funds, matching the sizes.
Right.
So that if we have the funds to do the size farm, it might,
It might move up the
might
list.
move up
Okay.
to maximize
Okay.
the funding.
I think this is a great program. I mean, it's one of the things Kane County is, I always tout that this is something we do very well. So thank you.
And I will comment too. I'm very grateful today. I feel very grateful this morning. But for Janice, we obviously miss Janice. We're grateful to still continue to have her along and involved in continuing to mentor and train Sari, but also grateful for Sari. She has Castro. She has come on board just, is it exactly a year yet or almost a year? Coming up, and she just really hit the ground running, but she's very bright. She's a quick learner. She loves to get out in the field and meet farmers, and she's really good with the federal paperwork, which is kind of an amazing combination. So we're, I think that piece is in place just in time for the changes that are going to be coming with the program and dealing with our current wait list.
Thank you.
Can you give us an approximate idea of how long it takes from a time a farmer's family shows interest to when we may actually close on the deal?
Wish I had a concise answer to that, but it does take some time from their application to getting approval by the Farmland Protection Commission. And then it's a matter of the funding cycles. And there's, in fact, each iteration of the Farm Bill and program has changed the application and approval process in terms of what needs to be submitted by the farmer. There's appraisals involved, there's surveys involved. Sometimes we get to the point where all that's been submitted and now it's get ready for funding and we have to refresh it. So, I mean, it's usually counted in years, not months, in terms of from application to actually closing. Sari's nodding her head, yes. So our farmers are patient people, and we're grateful for that too.
Follow up. Part of the reason I mentioned that is that we have, in our riverboat funding, we always have rollover funds because we've set aside money to be our match to the federal money, but it's not necessarily going to happen in that year. So you'll see in any accounting of our riverboat funding that there's money sitting there for farmland protection that hasn't been spent, is committed, will be spent sometime, but as opposed to the programs where we close them out in a year, that's a continuing project. And can I throw in another piece of history? For a lot of farmers, their land is their 401k. The land is what you can sell when you need to buy machinery or fix something or repair the barn. Up in the Sleepy Hollow area, during the heavy development times, farmers up there were selling their land like crazy because it was so valuable to turn it into housing. And that's one of the reasons that we have the Schweitzer Forest Preserve at the northwest corner of Sleepy Hollow and 72. And Ms. Schweitzer was really annoyed that all of her neighbors, she was going to be surrounded by houses instead of farmland. And so she worked a deal, and I can't claim, I don't know her attorney. I don't know what the deal was, but it was something like this. She would give the Forest Preserve 160 acres of her land, which was farmed, which was wooded, and a bunch of which was dedicated to her breeding, training, and showing her Irish Setter show dogs. She was willing to give that 160 acres to the Forest Preserve in exchange for a life estate. So we have up there our environmental center, which is the home base for Friends of the Fox. There are educational programs going on there practically every week throughout the year. It's a stunning property. You don't have to have a dog to go there, though if you spend a lot of time there and you don't have a dog, there will be eyebrows raised. So adopt a dog, and you just to go walking up there is it's just an exquisite piece of property, and it was a gift. And it was a gift because everybody else was turning their land into retirement funds. I mean, it's only reasonable. So if I bored you, because you all heard this before, but it's just such a wonderful property, it should be on our list to go and visit. So rent a dog.
And there's actually an old cemetery tucked away in the woods from Miss Schweitzer and all her dogs who'd pass away. There's little headstones back there. I
Little
can't tell you
dog
where, but
cemetery.
it's there. What's that?
Little dog cemetery.
Pet cemetery, yeah.
Yeah.
You know how that goes.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have a question. This is farmland protection money that went to farmers. Does this include, does that 4.3% include the forest preserve that has ag property? Or is that separate?
No, this is just the,
Okay,
the
yes.
privately owned land that has participated in the farmland protection program
That's
by
a
placing
clarifi-
an easement.
Yeah, that's a clarification I want.
Sure.
And I believe the Farm Bureau has 5,000 acres they're currently farming.
Does anybody else have any new business? All right, I just wanted to reiterate, we're going to be seeing the proclamation of agriculture support at the next meeting. I also wanted to talk about the bird flu, because down in my hometown, right next door, 3,000 hens just died from bird flu and wiped out an entire organic farmer in Madison. And also that made me fall down the rabbit hole. And a flamingo and a seal died at Lincoln Park Zoo from bird flu. A bald eagle died in Hinsdale. The IDNR reported 132 deaths from avian influenza in 22 different counties in the past month. Most of them were Canadian geese with the exception of one pigeon, and that pigeon was located in Kane County. So I just wanted to, it's pretty serious. The other thing I want to talk about is you may notice that there's a little agricultural royalty here with Mr. Kenyon. I felt that he had made my time, my first 2 years here, so enriching with his lived experience and everything. I kind of voluntold him I would like him to be a volunteer consultant for us. So Mr. Kenyon, would you, I kind of, you know, like I said, I voluntold you. So is there anything that you would like us to know imparting as an active farmer in King County?
Well, we've had we've had a good year production, but a crappy year for prices. And I noticed that after I sold all my corn and soybeans, the prices are starting to inch up. And it doesn't do me any good, but there's a worldwide problem with agriculture. If you look at Europe, they take their tractors to town and clog up the highways in Netherlands, England, and France. So we're concerned about not making any money. That's our big concern. We do what we can. I will help you wherever you want.
Thank you.
I'm going to be there to cheer you on. And don't read the labels.
I won't.
Just grab them, and you should go down there.
Sweet. I will go, I'll go reconnaissance prior.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, I will.
Well,
They'll probably call the police on me because there's like a lady there staring in the aisle.
Oh, it'll be quite fun. Quite fun.
Good. Well, I invite you all to
Maybe you
attend
can-
without cameras. There will
Maybe
be
we
no
can
videos of
video
it.
and play it for the board.
No, we don't need to do that.
No, the Farm Bureau does tape it and take a lot of pictures.
All signing that waiver that I could be videoed doing, sweeping food into a cart. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kenyon. May I have a motion to report? Oh, do I need to put the reports on file? Do I need a motion for that?
Sanchez asked for unanimous consent to place reports on file.
Great. Any objections? No? Okay, we have no need for executive session, even though Mr. Francis is still here, but, was that? Okay, we're good. All right. Anything else? Anything else anybody wants to add? Mark, you want to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to go back with Catherine McKenna. She also joined us just about a year ago. And has done just a fantastic job creating maps that help us to tell stories. And that's where her two strengths lay. So thank you, Catherine, for your map this morning, but she's been a tremendous asset to our entire department, including support for some of our smaller villages with her mapping. So just want to recognize that as well. Thank you.
Okay.
Roth will make a motion to adjourn.
Sanchez seconds.
All righty. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Juby, under an hour, and thank